Hi everyone. So I am recording November's Outlook actually 2 days before November technically begins. It just felt, I don't know, it just felt right today. I had some time this morning before needing to, do all the other things, and I don't know, just felt the energy, felt really like it's the right time to do this. So if all goes well, I will get this uploaded and put out there for you guys tomorrow. But I hope that you are all doing well. It's been quite an interesting month for me, and I'm sure it has for you guys too. October is like we were saying at the beginning of it, kind of pivotal, and the Sabbath of Samhain being so important for a lot of us. There's a lot of self-work to be done, and deeper truths to be explored. I know a lot of my clients have been dealing with anxiety and depression coming up in a pretty powerful way for them of late. And so if you are finding that for yourself as well, that's coming up, please know that you're not alone and that it is manifesting for a reason. And most of the time for us, it's about really looking at, those pieces of ourself that we tend to hide away or not give the attention that they need. And also, I do believe it's part of being empaths and healers and priestesses is that we also have our pulse on a general energy as well. And that current energy is really pretty intense. So, picking up and feeling and transmuting that level of fear is a big deal. Oh, and I just realized, hold on one second, guys. I want to grab the Halloween Oracle. I'm sorry that I'm on the bed today. The light is so bad for my laptop in the other room right now where I usually like to sit because I have a table in there, that we're just here today. So we get to look at some of Nick's photography. Yeah, so if you're feeling that way, please know that you are not alone. And the most important thing that you can do is to, use this as an opportunity for self-care and self-love. It's really, really important. Not being hard on yourself, but instead being understanding, compassionate, gentle, reassuring for yourself, and also like going back to the basics of what really feels best for you on your spiritual path, and also just comforting for you in your life. Maybe it's reading a book that really has meant a lot to you. It could be any number of things. So please give yourself that gift if you're currently experiencing that. Stepping into November, there is a quietness that I feel, and kind of like a groundedness and almost a condensing of wisdom that has come through in October. So when I feel into November, there's this kind of patient sense of calmly waiting, and that this is a time to kind of synthesize all the lessons and the wisdom of the year and understand how we want to implement that wisdom when action is required of us, probably more towards the end of November and through December. And we can say that because a lot of us are probably visiting family or doing things like that, but I also have a feeling that the end of November, December is going to usher in some active changes for a lot of us, especially those of us who are watching this video. So I would encourage you in November to like hunker down, do the things that feel good for you, give yourself quiet space and time. Like for me, coloring is one of those things that really helps me to rest and to relax. You can see Vincent's coloring all over here. He likes to color and then put things on the wall for me. So that's Vincent right there. But coloring tends to be very restorative for me and meditative. And so in October, I started to really allocate time for that for myself. And now moving into November too. Personally, I've had to also pick up some part-time work in retail again, and I'm not loving that. And so scheduling in the coloring time has helped me to kind of disconnect from that very busy, competitive, high-paced world that I had really been enjoying not being a part of. So there's a clarity that comes with November, I think. And I'm looking forward to that for all of us. And if you find that there are some issues coming up with family, some drama, maybe some health concerns with other family members, this is again an opportunity to step deeper onto your spiritual path and also to be clear about your boundaries and also your space. So I would encourage you to pause when these things come up and feel into what the lesson is instead of just reacting, which is really an intention I've set for myself personally as well as I'm saying that. So let's start with deity that will be working with us on our paths in the month of November. I've also started rereading a lot of Anne Rice's books, just as a way to kind of connect with what feels good for me too, and really been enjoying that. I don't know about you guys, but reading has been really important for me in October too. And I'm just going to pull for masculine deity. So we have Morgan Le Fay and magic, and then we have Ganesha with obstacles. It's a pretty potent brew there, the two of them together. Morgan Le Fay really feels so yummy to me and didn't surprise me at all when I saw it, because it's this understanding of even when going through difficulties and not being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, understanding one's own power and feeling what is intrinsically your own in the way that you move about the world, what is intrinsically you, your power, your gifts, and really feeling empowered, impassioned, and inspired by them. So in a way, it's kind of a coming into an understanding of who we really are and feeling very comfortable in our own skin in regards to that. And also to work with the energies that we are connected to for the greater good and also for our own sense of peace. And for some reason the word satisfaction comes up, even though I'm not really sure why, so we'll use that word. But there's an energy of ritual and intention and power with that, and with, you know, the Day of the Dead coming after Samhain, I do think that aspect of magic, that veil being very thin, is really potent in November, and as well as October, but especially that in-between period, like last week in October, first 2 weeks in November, I feel that like really, really strongly. And so I think Morgan Le Fay is really encouraging us to use our power use our power in a beautiful way in regards to journeying, ritual, anything that feels appropriate for us to do in that very feminine medicine way. So Morgan Le Fay will also encourage us to step into that power and to claim it, which means being clear about boundaries, our sense of self, and our personal space as well. Now, Ganesha is a god of luck, and so when we draw him, we can feel excited about that. You know, we might find that things kind of ease up a little bit financially for us this month, or maybe we're just feeling good. But also when Ganesha shows up, it's interesting, when he shows up for me, I often experience him in shadow. And I do feel like his energy is saying anything that doesn't happen this month in November, anything that doesn't work out, it's not happening for a reason. And that's because big picture, it's not what is best for your soul's journey. And so when disappointments come up in November, understanding and allowing ourselves to still feel loved and supported by the universe, because it's a no now for a reason, and that's in order for there to be a fuller experience down the road. So to me, Ganesha is not just the remover of obstacles, he also places obstacles at times, because it is actually for our better in the long run to have a no when we would like a yes. So it's trusting that whatever doesn't work out, it's not supposed to at this time for a very important reason. And so that's that masculine and feminine energy we have coming in. It's actually active feminine and receptive masculine. So a little flipping there of the traditional roles there, but a lot of fun to be had with it. So the decks that I'm going to use today, just for our outlook for the month, I really wanted to use Alice the Wonderland Oracle, but I'm not quite comfortable enough with it yet, so I pulled the Halloween Oracle. And I also pulled the Oracle of the Dragon Fae, and I have the Oracle of Shadows and Light here as well. No, I do not have that. I have the Messenger Oracle, which is interesting. I thought that I had the Oracle of Shadows and Light, but apparently I don't. So we will use the Messenger Oracle. And then the Tarot of Vampires. I also take sip tea. So I'd like to start by looking at what it is that we need to know for the month. And for this we have the Six of Grails, the Hermit, and the Fool. And I'm going to pull from the Halloween Oracle and the Lamp with Remembrance, making perfect sense with the Day of the Dead and Samhain at the beginning of the month, and that energy of connecting with the other side, with those who have passed, and expressing our gratitude, honor, and reverence, but also interacting with ritual and magic workings around that as well. So the Lamp makes perfect sense. The Lamp with the Six of Grails also lets me know that in the month of November, we are going to be kind of thinking about the past, thinking about childhood, feeling the beauty of being with the people that we love, but also the lessons, the wisdom that comes from everything that we've done with these people that we've shared our life path with. Some of this will be beautiful and happy, but there will also be a remembrance of some perhaps difficult lessons, some painful attachments, maybe some people that are no longer in our lives that we miss at this time of year. You know, November being a time in the States where typically there's an aspect of family members coming together towards the end of November. It's a real looking back, but it's the whole picture, not just looking back with rose-colored glasses. And I say that because we do have the Hermit, which is saying that we're doing a lot of inner work. So November will be a time that you want to make sure to schedule you time for you to unplug, withdraw, time for you to do your spiritual work, but also just time to be. So just as an example, like scheduling and journeying for me on a given night, but also making sure that I schedule in time to color or read or write or do something that's relaxing and fun for me as well. So scheduling those things, this is important because the Hermit's saying that there's some wisdom. Again, we come back to this wisdom. We're accessing understanding, knowledge, and wisdom in the month of November. We're primarily doing it through this, through heart and through the psychopomp within ourselves, being our own soul guide, not necessarily needing to learn something from someone else. Even if we choose to start or take a training in November, the primary experience, the distillation of the wisdom will come from us, from in here, not necessarily from an outside teacher, although they might assist us on that journey. So the Hermit is really saying, you're going to need time to yourself in November. Be unapologetic about scheduling that in and make sure you give yourself that time. If you're someone who deals with anxiety, you might find that leaving the house perhaps becomes a little more intense, not wanting to leave the house, becomes a little more intense in the month of November. And I'm saying this because the Hermit's there, and so for that I would encourage you to really work with whatever grounding techniques, whatever spiritual aspects of your path you use that help you to be able to be around other people, because you're probably empathic if you're experiencing that. shoring those things up will help to ensure that you can actually leave the house, go out and do what you need to do, but also just enjoy nature as well in November. With the Fool, we also have an energy of new beginnings and taking a leap of faith. So we might find personally for us that we choose to just go for it and try something that makes us a little bit nervous, but it's actually really awesome and inspiring and encouraging for us in the long run. And to me, this feels like more in creative pursuits for us. Again, it could be that hobby we choose to explore in our personal time, and it might just be going and doing something that makes us a little bit nervous, but it's actually really awesome and encouraging for us. So the Fool is saying, take that leap of faith. It's also saying, don't apologize for being different in the month of November. I mean, all the time, don't apologize for that, but especially in the month of November. Don't apologize for being different. Don't apologize if people don't understand who you are. This month is really about you. So there's an honor and a reverence for the ancestors, for the deity we work with on our spiritual path, but primarily we're focused on ourselves, our own worth, and our own spiritual work in November, and the cards are really showing that to us. Connection with others, we'll be exploring our own experience in that connection, not just looking at how we can best be there for someone else. And this is actually really beneficial and important for all of us. It's not selfishness. Even if it feels selfish for us, it's actually not. I'm going to pull one card from Oracle of the Dragonfey. The Lady Grian, Open Your Heart, is showing up. So this also might be in November, a time where we meet new people, connect with new people, or choose to be more vulnerable in existing relationships. And the cards are encouraging us to take that leap of faith, to trust the universe, and show a part of ourselves that we might be nervous to another person or people. So let's take a look at aspects in shadow for the month of November. The Moon, the Seven of Grails, the Five of Scepters, and then the Lady Alfreda, Justice Will Prevail, and Werewolf, Exploring Wildness. So part of this self-personal journey in the month of November is going to have to do with our sensuality and our sexuality. The Werewolf is very much showing that to us. It's allowing us to have a freedom of expression for what makes us feel yummy, but also our sexuality as spirituality too. So you might find this as kind of a sub-theme running underneath the month, having a tendency to shut that down or try to make it fit in a box and not really letting it come up and be expressed and moved through the body and our experience. So we can choose to explore that with a partner or personally ourselves in the month of November. And with it showing up in shadow, I would really encourage you to make sure that that's a personal experience first and foremost. Bringing a partner in being awesome and fun and juicy and yummy, but not necessary to you exploring your sexuality as sacredness. So the Werewolf in shadow is really talking to us about exploring that inner wildness. And to me, the werewolf myth is so much about that sensuality and sexuality aspect, really being free to explore our baser, more human instincts and desires. And so with it showing up in November, or we could have a tendency to block it, to shut it down, or to explore it in a way that's disempowering for us, looking at it as something that is profane instead of sacred. So we want to breathe into and open up and explore the sensuality and the sexuality as sacred, as part of our work with the Hermit and the Psychopomp this month. The Moon is always in readings like this talking to me about gossip and drama. So whether it's with family members or in the workplace, however this manifests for you, there's somebody probably talking a little bit of smack about you right now in November. And to me, the Moon is saying it's first and foremost about, and Five of Scepters is backing this up, having healthy boundaries with this person. It might be time to actually address this instead of ignore it, all right? as an addition, if you don't find that gossip and drama between yourself and other people, or another person shows up in November, it might also be about checking in with what thoughts are really self-defeating and keeping us from moving forward in our life. So maybe we tend to think that a repetitive thought over and over again about how things are or who we are or what happened in the past, that means we can't move forward, etc. And the moon is also saying, you know what, those thoughts are really not accurate, and it's time to stop giving them so much credence. And again, the 5 works here as well, because it's about setting healthy boundaries in the mind to shift that way of thinking and to really expose those thoughts for just being that, thoughts, not truths. We also have the 7 of Grails and the Lady Alfreda, which for me are talking about addiction when they manifest. Now, addiction doesn't necessarily need to just be substances. It can also be, too, things like gossip and drama, or ways of engaging with our sexuality that keep us in subjugation instead of allow us to be free, like we were talking about with the werewolf. So with the 7 and the Lady Alfreda showing up, as in conjunction with the other 3 cards here, we get a pretty clear picture that this is really about not relying on coping mechanisms to get us through the difficulties of this month, but instead choosing to be really aware and awake and hold ourselves lovingly and gently accountable about moving forward. And that is going to involve some action on our part to help us to move forward, whether that's working with that negative thought cycle and really starting to not allow it to stop us to the level it has in the past, whether it's moving forward from the past, actually saying no to the people we need to, or setting boundaries where we need to, having conversations that are difficult but necessary. We can see all this in shadow showing up in November. It's really giving us an opportunity to break some significant cycles for ourselves in our lives, which is exciting, but a lot of work. So there's a lot of personal work happening in November, as we can see. As our final draw, I'm going to use the Messenger Oracle, which is so funny because I thought for sure it was the Oracle of Shadows and Light, but it wasn't. I read for a large group of people last weekend, and so I had all my decks in their little bags, like right next to the altar, so that they could kind of rest and get all cleared and all that good stuff. And I thought for sure Oracle of Shadows and Light was in this one, but it wasn't. Okay, so now we come into the energy of Make the Sacrifice, which has a black dragon with a white skull. We're talking a lot about the energy of death here again. Just like with the Day of the Dead and Santa Muerta, we're really coming into contact with something that has died, something that has passed, that it's time to honor and release as well. So as our final message for November, I think we're really talking about an older way of being within ourselves, accepting less than what we're worth, letting people mistreat us perhaps, or not really letting ourselves truly be ourselves in order to make other people feel more comfortable. The month of November is talking about making the sacrifice of stepping away from inauthenticity in order to survive, and instead being strong enough within ourselves by working with Morgan Le Fay to say no to circumstances and people that want us to change who we are in order for them to feel comfortable, or for the situation to be comfortable. So it's a real, like, going within, a lot of soul work, finding a lot of clarity, and then actually stepping into that in our outer world too. So again, it means having those conversations, saying something that perhaps you really needed to say but you haven't allowed yourself to yet, ending things that need to end, and also again having clear boundaries in relationships where we need to do that as well. Not accepting something that isn't good enough, like saying no if it's not good enough for us, and feeling okay with that. So again, Make the Sacrifice, to me that energy is all about the goddess, the deity of death, and connecting with that energy in order to help us release and move forward, to distill the wisdom, release and move forward. So there's a going within with the Hermit this month, but there's also the Fool that's causing us to bring that out in action in the world around us. So it's a pivotal month for us in the year of 2018. November is an important one. I hope you're all doing well. I'm sending you so much love and many blessings. This month on the channel, since you guys are supporting the channel through your donations, which thank you so much as always. I truly appreciate your support. This month on the channel, I'm going to be doing some more videos on working with the tarot of vampires, and also on the subject of depression and anxiety. I'm not quite sure what that's going to look like. I think it will be more about ways in which we can move through that in as empowered an experience as possible. And I'd also like to do a video or two on deity, so be looking for that in the month of November. I have an old video on the Four of Knives that I will re-upload to the channel soon as well, and you'll see it's in the old apartment. It's definitely an oldie that I just happened to find on the laptop. Oh, it's right here, the laptop, the other day when I was going through. On the website there will be at least 2 blog posts in November, so you can check that out if you want to. I believe one of the blog posts will be on the word descent. I don't know, I just keep hearing that, like as I move about throughout my day, the word descent, 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 and that being something that we talk about in the blog, but also about feeling comfortable in shining your light fully. So be looking for that in the blog posts. As always, guys, thank you so much for supporting my work. It means the world to me. It's a joy to connect with you all this way. You guys are all amazing, kick-ass goddesses, and I wish you well in the month of November, and I also wish for that clarity within for you in the month of November as well. Much love and many blessings, guys. I'll see you in the next video.